Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Phil, and this is 3D Japan again. And you saw in my last video, I took a look at the Ender 3 V3 KE from Creality. And some people were asking me how well it does with printing TPU. So I didn't have any TPU, so I reached out to my friend at Creality, and they sent out some TPU. And I also got a spool from Poymaker. So I'm going to model something, and we're going to take a look at that, and then we'll print some of these and see what it looks like. Okay, so here's what I've been working on to print. I've got this little teddy bear here, and it is not one of my best models, but it should be fun for this purpose. So he needs a couple of more things. He doesn't have any ears yet, and he needs a tail. So let's start working on him. The one thing that I love about LightWave is some simple things, like if I have these 4 viewports, and if I want to make one of them full screen, I can just hit 0, and there we go. Or this one, and it's just whichever one my mouse is pointing over. And the other thing that's really cool is that if I'm working in polygons, right now I'm working in subdivisional surfaces, or sub-Ds. If I want to work in polygons, I can just hit tab, and there we go, we got polygons, and it's just so easy to just toggle back and forth. But so anyway, let's give him some ears. I'm going to switch this over to polygon selection mode, and we'll maybe try selecting a couple of these. And let's turn on symmetry so we get both sides. I'll hit Shift Y for that. There we go. And I'm going to hit E to extend it. And let's look over in the side here, or the front. And I'll hit T for move. And I'll go out a little bit. And then hit E again. And just keep going out. And okay, so I'm thinking I'll hit H to stretch this and stretch it in. Now I'm going to switch to edge selection, and I'll just use the right mouse button to drag around there, and H to stretch that out. Okay. That's a general shape. Oops. Deselect. Let's use a mouse wheel to zoom in a little bit. And deselect that. And we'll switch to point mode. I can just grab these and just kind of move them around. Try to get some kind of rounded shapes. And I have a button on my mouse set to deselect, so that is very convenient. Okay, that looks pretty good. And so now what I'm going to do is select this point in the front there, and then come around and select the same one on the back. And from the side view, I'll just hit T for move, and I'll hold Control to constrain it to left and right, and just drag that way. And look at it and see how it looks. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit further. And I'll deselect the back one. And just want to make the front one go in a little bit more. I think that works. Yeah, so we got some cute little ears on there. Let's do the same thing to make the tail. Okay. Zoom in there. Now, select the polygons. Those two should be alright, I think. Or maybe we'll even do these as well. You see I made the bottom of him flat so that when I print him he'll sit flat on the build plate, and then when he's fully done he can sit flat on your table. Okay, just hit E and T for move. Just pull out a bit, and then E again, pull that out a bit, and we can tweak it because that's a rather straight looking tail. So I'm going to select all these around here, and I think I'll just maybe from the top view here we'll hit H to stretch it out, and I'm gonna set my point, my beginning point there as origin, so that it'll automatically stretch from the middle, no matter where my mouse is. That's better. So his tail's a little wider. And go to edge mode and select one of those, and I have the L key set to select loop. So we'll select the whole loop and H to stretch. Select these. And now, just those four. Let's undo, go back to mouse selection mode so it'll work from where the mouse is. Okay. T, move it in a little bit. Trying to make it look less square. So what I'm thinking now is we'll deselect that. I'm going to hit Control T and zoom in a little bit. Now I can just drag these individual points. Yeah. I would round it out a little bit more. That's better. Okay, bring this in a little bit. Yeah. Okay, he's got a cute little tail now. And so that's it. He's ready to print, pretty much. So like I said, you can use the tab key to go back and forth with polygons, but that's what printing needs, but this is going to look terrible. So what I can do is hit Control D and I'll freeze that sub D into polygons pretty much the way it looked. So I'll switch this to just texture mode. And again, this you can still, it's better, but you can still see the polygons. So let's undo. I'm going to go into my display options, or regular options. Oops. Go into my regular options. And I'm going to increase my subpatch divisions. I'm just going to double them for now. So that's 6. And now if I hit Control D, now it's much smoother. And this will print much nicer. So when I'm done, I can just come up here to, I have a glare on my screen so it's hard to see. Come up to Save and Export STL. And then we'll bring this over here so I can see it. And so I'm going to set this to binary. And we'll set the up axis for Z because that's what it is for printing. In LightWave it's Y. And I'm going to set my export units to millimeters. And then just click OK. And then we'll just name our file and save it. Call him Teddy Bear. Okay, now I'm going to print them out and we'll see how the results of this TPU come out. And by the way, if you didn't know, I'm using LightWave 3D for this little mini tutorial here. And that leads us right into today's sponsor, LightWave 3D. LightWave 3D has been a well-known name in the 3D industry for over 35 years. I myself have been using it professionally and personally for over 20 years. It has been used in countless movies, including Jurassic Park and Titanic, TV shows like Battlestar Galactica Reboot and Firefly, and video games as well. It's actually really huge in Japan for anime productions. Recently, it has been acquired by Andrew Bishop and his team, going by the name LightWave Digital. This is a group of LightWave users who are really looking to push it forward into the future. Check the link in the description to see how LightWave 3D can help with your 3D printing and other productions. Teddy bears all printed, but before I did those, I modeled this little piece here, a little shape, just as a test object, just to see how the filament would work with different settings, figuring out what the right temperature should be and such. So yeah, I did a bunch of those, and finally I came up with this one was my best one. So that is, I used a 235 temperature for the nozzle, 60 for the bed, and all of these are 10% gyroid infill, and 3 walls, and 4 walls on the top. Okay, so that's what I used for my first teddy bear, and it did come out very stringy, but it is fairly squishy. It's pretty dense, but it was very stringy, and there was a support that went between his feet and up to his nose, and between the support and his body was a lot of strings, and if you can see, that created a kind of a mess in here. And I even tried to burn away some of the strings with a lighter and ended up scorching him. So that was a bad idea. So we didn't do that anymore. Yeah, but he came out pretty good. So then I moved on to the next one. And this one I did everything the same, except for instead of 10% infill, I used 5%. And this is a lot squishier. I'm not sure if you can really tell, but I can squish his head all the way down and then it pops back out. But yeah, that one worked out really well. So it was interesting tests. Then finally I went on with the black, and I decided to go with lightning infill, which means there's practically nothing inside. So he is now really squishy. The problem is, since there's no infill, there's nothing holding the bottom together. And when I was taking the supports off and the brim, he started to rip apart. So I don't know if you can see in there. Right in there, the whole bottom was starting to rip off. So now we know we should use infill. Lightning infill is not the best for TPU. But it came out really nice. It's pretty smooth. So with the Poymaker, I decided to go back to what I was doing before, except instead of 3 walls, I just did 2. And I think it came out pretty good, but if you can see, there's a lot of under extrusion, especially in his back. You can see all the little missing gaps. So what I decided to do was lower the speed from 100 millimeters per second down to 50 millimeters per second. And then we got this one. And this one is pretty much perfect. Maybe a little bit of string there I didn't fix, but otherwise he came out pretty good. Yep. And he's, a little bit squishy just like the first one, the red one, but not too bad. The one thing that looks weird is there's a line above his eye on all of them, and I finally figured out that was just a seam from the slicer, so it had nothing to do with the filament or anything. Okay, so that's just a look at how the Ender 3 V3 does with TPU. It came out really good. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll try to answer them. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.